Hi again, and welcome to our spring football show here at CUBuffs.com, along with BG Brooks from the aforementioned CUBuffs.com. I'm Mark Johnson of 850 KOA Radio. The Buffaloes spring game under new head coach Mike MacIntyre, 25th coach in Colorado history, comes up Saturday here at Folsom Field, a 10:30 game. You can catch it on the Pac-12 networks, and we'll, of course, have the broadcast on the radio as well on 850 KOA. BG, you look at the way the spring ball has gotten underway. March 7th, 101 players, a brand new coach, a brand new staff, a brand new feel, really, when you think of it, around this program. What have been your thoughts and observations so far?
Well, when you have any coaching change, there's going to be an air of excitement, and that's certainly been the case here. I think the players are really excited about a number of things, starting with instruction. I think they're getting some instruction that, I won't say they didn't get under the old regime, but they're happy about what they're getting. They're getting a lot of individual attention. They're excited about what they're doing.
You know, the one thing I think the observation I made being out of practice, there is an attention to detail, I think, that Mike MacIntyre has. Not that other coaches don't. He seems to be a little bit, maybe a notch above what you normally see. There's a precision about the way he runs his camp.
Yeah, I like the way that he will stop practice, huddle his players around them, give them some instruction on a particular thing, or just, anything that he really thinks is going to benefit them, and send them on their way. And they seem to be really pleased about getting that kind of attention.
Well, let's start where everybody wants to start. That is with the quarterback position. There's a lot of bodies right now for the Buffaloes that would be under center. But is there just one at this point? There seems to be a logjam there at the quarterback position.
No, there's not one at this point. There are four that they're looking at that started spring ball, I think, with maybe a leg up on the rest of the field. But the four we're talking about would be Jordan Webb, who has been injured, Shane Dillon, the redshirt freshman, who had a lot of promise coming off of a redshirt season, Connor Wood, and Nick Hirschman. And the way it ended after the last scrimmage, I think three of those guys, with the exception of Webb, who was injured, really stepped up, and the ball was thrown very well in the last scrimmage they had.
You know, I think when fans look at this position, the typical line of football is the backup quarterback, or many times in college, the red shirt's the guy that everyone looks for. Speaking of Shane Dillon, there was thought that he might take control of this job right now. I'm not so sure that's the case. It still seems to be, at this point, a very even competition. I'm not sure there's one guy that's taken a hold of it. What have you seen from Shane Dillon?
Well, Shane, I think, is going to benefit from a lot more reps for the last week here of spring ball. I think he's certainly got talent. I think he's learning a new system. All of them are learning a new system, and that if there's something that would set these guys back, that's probably it. But I think Shane is certainly still in the mix, as are Connor Wood, Nick Hirschman, and Jordan Webb when he gets when his thumb gets back into a throwing shape.
They really are bringing in just a lot of confidence, basically from where they came from. San Jose State. They won 11 games this year, I believe, and so they bring in a winning mentality, a winning culture, and so something that we desperately need here. So they bring in just confidence. They believe in us, and so far this is day number 10, and I'm just excited about where we are as a team.
You know, Connor Wood is a guy, the transfer from Texas, that I think when he came on campus, he looks the part. He's a big kid, 6'3", 6'4", 225. He's got a nice enough arm. Last year in spring ball, the job was offered to him. He didn't accept it. He didn't take control of it. I'm not sure that's happening again this spring, would you? Well,
no, I think he's benefited from the system being a little bit more simplified than it was last year under the former regime. And I think he has stepped up, and he's making the most of his opportunity now. That's not to say that Nick Hirschman and Shane Dillon are not, because they certainly are. But the point being, I think that Connor Wood has benefited a lot by this.
You know, I wonder at times if the starting quarterback for 2013 maybe isn't even on campus yet.
That could be. Word is that there might be another quarterback coming in. We know there's one quarterback coming in the signee Sefo Leafo from Washington. But, there could be another one coming in. We'll have to wait and see on that.
Is it imperative, do you think, for the football team to make a decision quickly? Or could this be a situation where you get down to, August, let's say 20th or so, 10 or so days before the season opener against Colorado State, before they make a decision?
Well, one of the things that Mike MacIntyre pointed out to me last week was he didn't name his starting quarterback last year at San Jose State until 5 days before the opener. So he's going to take his time. Now, that's not to say that they didn't have a guy in mind last August at San Jose, but nonetheless, he's not going to rush this thing.
By what we've seen so far, you look at the sub-scrimmages, if you will, one last week right here at Folsom Field. This appears to be the kind of offense that Mike MacIntyre likes that is going to be attractive to college or high school quarterbacks around the country to eventually come here.
I think it will be, and I think, of course, a winning year, to back up whatever system he's running is certainly going to help too. But I do think you're right.
Let's look at the guys that protect the quarterback. There is some experience coming back in the offensive line. There's some big holes to fill, but let's start inside. Gus Handler would appear to be a guy that's pretty solid inside at this point, or not?
Yes, Gus has got experience. Gus, I think, has got that job unless he gets hurt. The guys around him, I think, are solid. I think the tackles, losing David Bakhtiari certainly is a blow to the offensive line, but I think when Alex Lewis gets back from his shoulder injury, I think he'll step in. I think Daniel Munyer, who's injured now, he's got a leg injury. I think he'll step in and be a starter. And then you've got several other guys I think that you're going to be able to count on, like Jack Harris. Mark Musto has been, I think, a pretty good surprise this spring at tackle. So there are guys.
You look at this offensive line. This is going to be, for a guy like Gus Handler, who's been around here for a while, his third offensive line coach. Gary Bernardi comes in, a lot of experience there. What have you seen from him maybe leading this offensive line?
Well, Gary Bernardi and the former line coach Steve Marshall are very close friends. And the offensive linemen have told me that they are almost the same person. And so there's not a lot new going on. There's a new system, of course, but as far as the way instruction is going, I think you're seeing a lot of similarities there between Steve Marshall and Gary Bernardi.
You talked about the big hole on the left side for most of the quarterbacks being right-handers. Obviously, that left tackle position, very important. David Bakhtiari, after his junior campaign, announcing he was going to the NFL draft, which comes up here at the end of the month. What do you look at on that side? Jack Harris, does he appear to have the leg up there? Jack
Harris, I think, does, and we failed to mention on the right side Stefan Nimbat, who is just a tremendous physical specimen, and he's learning a lot day by day. So he'll be a guy that they'll certainly count on. But on the left side, I think Jack Harris, barring injury, will probably be the guy there.
My goals, I feel like they've been the same every year. Help take this team to a bowl game. That's something that we haven't done in a while, and anything to help contribute to that, that's my ultimate goal.
Making the transition from the offensive line to the defensive line, and that was an area of concern a year ago. Defensively, the Buffaloes put up one of its worst defensive seasons statistically in program history. And, partner, when you look at that side, certainly we can start with a guy that was brought in to help the defensive front, that being 15-year NFL veteran Jim Jeffcoat has been brought in. I wish, from Bus perspective, he still had some years of eligibility left. He looks pretty good out there.
He's an impressive specimen, even 15 years after the fact. He's big guy, good coach. I think his players have taken to him really well. One of the things that Mike MacIntyre wants to do with his defensive line is have them shed weight, almost to a man. He says that if you can beat your guy at the line of scrimmage, that's no guarantee that you can make a play behind the line of scrimmage unless you can run. And he wants these guys to be able to run better.
Well, the Buffaloes last year certainly had their issues up front. They gave up almost 6 yards per carry last year. But to BG's point, San Jose State last year, 42 sacks in the 2012 season. What a wonderful year they had at San Jose State under Mike MacIntyre. I guess maybe being a bit quicker up front, maybe one of the keys for the Buffaloes to start getting some pressure on the quarterback, which Colorado has not had a lot of in recent years.
That's true. And getting pressure on the quarterback is going to be the key to a lot of answers that really plagued the Buffs last year. Secondary had a lot of balls thrown over their heads. You can trace that back to quarterback having a lot of time. Also to a secondary that might have been inexperienced. But the defensive line will be key this year for the Buffs, no doubt.
Not a great deal of experience along that defense front. Only five upperclassmen, in fact, amongst the 15 defensive linemen. Nate Bonsu, Josh Tupu, Tyler Hennington, maybe some of the guys the Buffs are going to have to count on early on.
Yeah, and I think Chidera Uzo Emilio Uribe is really an immense talent. I think he can have a terrific year as a pass rusher. I know Mike McIntyre is tremendously high on him, and Shedera can stay healthy. I think he'll have a good year.
Samson Kafavalu, Kirk Poston will be guys that will be helping out up front. They played, shall we say, role positions a year ago. They're probably going to have to be counted upon to be much more effective and consistent, I think, in 2013.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to have to step up. I think everybody on defense is going to have to step up after that season last year, and I think they've got a really good defensive coordinator in Kent Baer. So we'll see how it goes, but I expect improvement. I hope for improvement.
Coach Walters had come in, and he's been working a lot with fundamentals with us. Just really getting in and out of our breaks, our footwork, staying low. Right now, it's the little things that we're working on mostly.
When we talk about hope, as we shift back to the offensive side of the football for the Colorado Buffaloes, coming off that 1-11 season, of course, that record was made last year without receiver Paul Richardson, who is out with the preseason ACL tear. He is back, and if you've seen the scrimmages so far, he looks like he hasn't lost a step. Either he's really good and they're struggling in the back end, or there might be some issues defensively there. But Paul Richardson has been outstanding so far.
Yeah, Paul says he's gotten faster, if you can believe that, and I know he's gotten hungrier. Other guys that I think they're going to be able to count on are in the receiving core, the usual suspects, Tyler McCullough, Nelson Spruce. Jeff Thomas is a guy to watch, I think. He's a big, rangy receiver, 6'3", about 195 pounds. He was in camp last August and left for personal reasons, did not enroll until January, but I think the coaches are looking for big things from him.
Well, that was an issue in 2012, of course. Big plays offensively. The Buffs did not have any receivers out there. They really got behind the secondary, made those big plays. So certainly having P. Rich back and what Thomas can do on the other side. The guy that is leading the charge under Mike McIntyre, Troy Walters, 8-year NFL veteran, was a great college receiver, brings a wealth of knowledge, and already seems to be making an impact along with these young receivers.
Yeah, and I think the experience he brings and really him being able to relate to CU's receivers from his time at Stanford, from his NFL time. He's been a tremendous coach so far, and these guys are really taken to him, I think.
We touched on some of the names. Somebody we haven't mentioned is former tailback D.D. Goodson, who wanted to move to the receiver corps a year ago. John Embry at the time thought they needed him, and with the stable of running backs, he's made the transition. He brings some speed and has opened some eyes, I think, this camp so far.
He really has. He has moved into a slot receiver's role, and it looks like he was just born to play that. He's got good hands. He's impressed the coaches with his speed, and he really likes the move. He lobbied for it, a year ago, as you said, but for whatever reason didn't do it. But he is really taken into it right now, and he's doing very well.
For me specifically, being a tall receiver, kind of struggles. I stay low sometimes, and that's where you stumble. So he's really working with me on the little things like staying low in and out of your breaks, and just always. That translates to everyone, though. So he's working on all the little things with us, even blocking, catching ball on the sidelines, all the little fundamentals.
There are some questions at tight end. Nick Casa, who became such a fantastic tight end, has an opportunity here at the end of the month to be drafted in the NFL draft. He, of course, has moved on. Big hole to fill right there, and I'm not sure there's anybody really taking advantage of the opportunity now to fill that hole.
Kyle Slavin has stepped into that role, and he's listed number 1 on the depth chart. But you've got to realize that depth chart is a pencil depth chart, in Mike McIntyre's words. So I think that position is wide open. I think they want to do a lot of things with the tight end, as they did at San Jose State last year. But getting the right guys to do it now is really the key.
Every game you want to go out there, you want to be great. So that's just what you strive for, and it starts off here in practice. So you got to get better each practice, and then it'll all carry over.
It has been a while here at the University of Colorado since the Buffaloes really had a feature back. That does not appear to be a situation that will change in 2013. It's a stable of running backs. And I guess when you think of the Buffs' backs in recent years here, the guy that first comes to mind is the big body Christian Powell, 6 foot, 240 pounds, more of a power back, but he might be the headliner at this point.
No doubt. I think coming off his freshman year, he really opened some eyes when he moved to that position from fullback midway or a little before midway in the season last year. But he is a big back, The coaching staff likes what he does in pass protection. Then when you move to the other backs, you've got a good change of pace guy in Tony Jones. And Josh Ford has opened some eyes, as he has done in previous springs. But I think there are several good backs to choose from. And if you ask any coach, he'll tell you that you need 4 or 5 guys going into a season, because running back is a position that you're going to go deep into as the season progresses.
Josh Ford, the Mullen product, has had career days for these spring games, which comes up this Saturday here at Folsom Field at 10:30. Once again, it'll be broadcast on the Pac-12 Network and also a radio broadcast on 850 KOA. This system that Mike MacIntyre brings to the University of Colorado, these backs have got to be versatile. They've got to be able to catch the ball in the backfield, don't they?
They really do. And, there might be a misnomer there that when people talk about running the pistol offense, this offense is really going to be tailored to what the personnel can do. When you think of the pistol offense, you think maybe of a guy like Colin Kaepernick, who ran it so well at Nevada and is now doing it in the NFL. But at San Jose State last year, Mike MacIntyre and Brian Lindgren had a quarterback who could pass, and that was really became a drop-back passing offense rather than a true pistol offense. The pistol is run, and they'll incorporate some things there, but they will tailor this offense to what the personnel can do.
Competing and running to the ball, if we're out of position, if you just hustle and run to the ball, then you could just make a play. And that's what we've been trying to do, run to the ball every play and just competing when the ball's in the air and making more interceptions and strip attempts.
As we continue to jump around here in our spring football preview show with that spring game coming up this weekend, let's move to the defensive secondary. That was an area last year there was a lot of youth back there. Kenneth Crowley, Uri Wright, just to name a couple of the young guys back there that had some struggles at different times. There's a lot of names back there, not a lot of, shall we say, veteran depth at this point.
Yeah, you would hope that the young guys that we've just mentioned would benefit from a year of experience. Uri Wright, Ken Crawley really had great reputations coming in as freshmen last year, but they were freshmen. So let's hope they benefited from that. Terrell Smith is another guy to keep an eye on. Josh Moten has had a good spring at safety. Parker Orms has had some knee problems, recurring problems for him, so we'll see how healthy he can get before August. But you do have a number of guys back there who have played. Let's just hope they've improved.
Parker Orms is a guy, of course, won that 4A state football championship as a farmer from Wheat Ridge here a few years ago, but his career, started off with that nasty knee injury at that point in time in Vesco Field, a Mile High against Colorado State, and has never gotten on track. So much potential there, but it continues to be an issue for him, the injury bug. Yeah,
it does, and you would hope that Parker is due for a healthy senior year. Let's hope so. He's been a terrific player when he can play.
Well, let's move a level forward in the defense to the linebacking core, and for the first time in decades, the Buffaloes linebackers will not be led by legendary coach and CU player Brian Cabral. It seems odd not to have the emotional leader out there with this staff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I have been around as long as Brian Cabral has, and it's going to be strange not seeing him on the sideline, putting on the lava, but you're going to do without him this year.
That's right. One of the guys certainly coming back with that group, senior to be Derek Webb, who led the Buffaloes in tackles a year ago, and he might be the one guy in that linebacking core that really brings the wood, a hard-hitting linebacker.
Very hard-hitting, very fast guy. He seems to have taken in this new system and has played really well in spring ball, and I think he likes what he's getting from Kent Bayer, his new coach.
Junior Brady Day, we got Woodson Greer, Lowell Williams, some other names out there, but some of the youngsters are making a big name for themselves so far. Yeah. Addison Gillum was a gray shirt who comes into the University of Colorado here, and Mike MacIntyre speaking glowingly about him.
Addison Gillum is a guy who gray-shirted. He was a commitment at San Jose State, and Mike MacIntyre made the jump to Colorado, and Addison Gillum wanted to come here and play. He told Mike MacIntyre that he was going to more than likely sign with another Pac-12 school, and Coach MacIntyre told Addison Gillum, sign with us. So he came aboard, was ready for spring ball, and apparently has done very well in spring ball. He's a big guy. He's 6'4", about 220, could use to, stand to put on maybe another 10 pounds or so during the course of his career, but he can run, and that's what they like about him, one of the things.
So he might be one of the young guys that tries to fill the shoes left by John Major and Doug Rippey, seniors from a year ago. Also, Marquise Reed is a name that not a lot of Buff fans know about, but he has opened some coaching eyes here at CU.
He's another January enrollee Lee, who is a big guy, 6'4", about 220, and also can run. And Coach McIntyre says keep an eye on him.
You know, you just mentioned something I think is becoming kind of a common theme with Mike McIntyre in this defense. He is looking for, and this is not to say there aren't some of those kind of traditional, thicker linebackers maybe that you've seen here in the past at the University of Colorado. Mike says, though, you better be able to run in today's college football. That's what he's looking for, speed in each one of these linebackers.
Exactly. As the number of spread offenses that CU is going to play next fall, you've got to have guys on defense who can run, and that's been emphasized. It'll be emphasized in every recruiting class from here on out. It'll be emphasized in drills that they do in spring ball and next August. So finding guys that can run, that's key. One
thing we have talked about frequently this time of year here at the University of Colorado in regards to the football team has been who are the kickers and punters on this team. But for the first time in a long time, there is at least consistency in that regard. Dara O'Neill and Will Oliver did fantastic jobs a year ago for this team, and they come back with great experience.
They do. They've got a new special teams coach in Toby Ninus, and Toby Ninus is trying to tweak the style a little bit of Will Oliver. We'll see how that works out. Will Oliver has had a solid spring. Toby is very high on Dara O'Neill as a punter. He also likes DJ Wilhelm, the backup to Dara O'Neill, and Justin Castor, who backs up Will Oliver, has had a good spring also. The kickoff job still up for grabs at this point. I think they'll settle on that in August, obviously before the opener, but you've got two guys there in Castor and Oliver who can kick it off pretty well.
Well, there's going to be a lot of interest in Colorado football simply from a newness standpoint as the Buffaloes are coming off a 1-11 campaign. And, of course, there's a great deal of improvement and many expectations are being placed on the 25th head coach in Colorado history, Mike McIntyre, who coaches the spring game on Saturday. It'll happen here at Folsom Field. 10:30 is when they'll kick it off. Of course, it'll be broadcast on the Pac-12 Network and also on radio on 850 KOA. Along with the BG Brooks from CUBuffs.com, I'm Mark Johnson from 850 KOA Radio. We'll see you on Saturday here at Folsom Field as the Buffaloes hold their annual spring game. And as always, you can check out all things Colorado on Buffs TV at CUBuffs.com.